Into the Abyss. Chapter 1. The Call of the Abyss. Captain Elena Sorrento stood at the helm of the Starfire, a sleek, silver ship that had once been a proud explorer of uncharted galaxies. Now, it drifted perilously close to the gravitational pull of a massive black hole aptly named Vorath, its dark swirl of shadows mirroring the dread settling in her heart. The hum of the ship's engines echoed faintly around her, mingling with the tension coursing through her crew. "We're too close to Vorath, Captain," warned her first officer, Akira Tanaka, his voice crisp despite the circumstances. "If we don't change course now, we won't have the power to escape its pull." Elena nodded, glancing at the swirling maw in the viewport. The legendary black hole was one of the most menacing gravitational anomalies known in the sector. The ship's scanners had detected unusual energy signatures around it, and they had been drawn in like moths to a flame. "Can we plot a course out?" she asked, gripping the console. "How long until we can burn the engines at full thrust?" 2 minutes at maximum efficiency, he replied, his fingers flying over the interface, pressing buttons and manipulating controls. "But with the proximity alarms blaring, we're cutting it close." Elena felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She could almost feel the gravitational pull of Vorath tugging at the Starfire, working to unmoor them from reality. They had come in search of the lost colony of Vorath, rumored to possess advanced technology hidden just outside the gravitational influence of the black hole. But now, they were trapped, drawn into the very danger they sought to investigate. "Prepare for emergency protocols," she ordered, pacing back and forth to manage her growing anxiety. "We'll have to make the jump before Vorath consumes us." Chapter 2. The Edge of Darkness. Akira clutched the controls, sweat beading at his temple as he initiated the necessary procedures. "Reinforce shields and divert power. To the engines. We need all hands on deck." "Aye, sir," shouted Ensign Rhea Collins from the communications console. "Captain, we're receiving a distress signal from the colony. They must have known we were coming." "Get it on screen," Elena commanded. Moments later, a flickering video transmission appeared, revealing the image of an older man with gray hair and fierce eyes that burned with desperation. "Help us. We're being pulled into Vorath. Anyone who can hear this, we need." The transmission cut off abruptly, replaced by static. Elena's heart raced. "We can't just leave them." Akira glanced at her, weighing their options. "With our engines struggling, we risk the same fate ourselves. We have to get the ship to safety first." Elena's hands trembled as she wrestled with her decision. Was it right to abandon anyone? Yet as she looked at Vorath's swirling chaos, she felt the weight of responsibility for her crew. They depended on her to make the tough choices. "Engage the engines," she finally shouted. "Full power ahead. If we don't get clarity on the situation soon, we'll have to leave the distress call behind." Chapter 3. Descent into Chaos. The Starfire throbbed with energy as Akira opened the throttle wide, their engines roaring to life. The ship surged forward, but the pull of Vorath was insatiable. It wrapped around them like a cosmic cyclone, resisting their every effort. Alarms blared as the ship shuddered violently. "We're losing stabilizers," Akira exclaimed, struggling to maintain control. "Reinforce the AFT shields. We need to break free." Elena screamed, gripping the armrest of her captain's chair. "There's too much gravitational interference," shouted Rhea, her hands racing across her panel as she frantically monitored their trajectory. "We need to do a slingshot maneuver if we want an actual chance of escape." Elena instinctively called upon her training, remembering the old tactical lectures from her mentor, Captain Joe Morrow. Never. Fight the pull. Use it. Yes. Slingshot around Vorath. "Akira, plot a course," Elena shouted. Akira breathed deeply, recalibrating the ship's systems. "On it. Engaging thrusters in 3, 2, 1. To the crew's surprise, the Starfire shot around the edge of Vorath, the ship's hull vibrating in protest. Elena gripped the console while the gravitational pull tugged at the Starfire, fighting against the inertia that built up as they swung around. The ship's engines strained under the pressure, and for a moment, they felt a flicker of hope that escape might indeed be possible. "Stabilizing now." Akira breathed as they rounded the curve of the black hole, the gravitational forces giving way to their engine's desperate shriek. Chapter 4. The Light at the End. As they whipped around, the ship's engines roared with renewed life. Initiating full ascent. Now! Elena yelled above the cacophony. The ship surged forward, breaking free from the pull. For a breathless moment, they felt the oppressive grasp of Vorath slip away as they accelerated. Yes! We did it! Rhea cried out, a relieved smile flooding her face as they broke into the dark expanse of space. Not yet, Elena said, her eyes narrowing on the fluctuating energy readings on the radar. Akira's fingers drummed nervously on the console. We have to check the sensors. The colony's distress signal is still weak. We might not be out of the woods yet. Elena nodded, her heart pounding as they felt the comfortable embrace of space return. They had narrowly escaped, but the thought of the lost colony lingered at the forefront of her mind. Patch me through to the distress signal again, she instructed Rhea. Chapter 5. Fractured Signals. The screen flickered to life once more, and once again, the image of the older man formed on their monitors. Please, if anyone is listening. Captain, Rhea interrupted, we're receiving anomalies in the readings. We may have fluctuations in our systems due to the gravitational pull. It's causing interference. Elena bit her lip, watching as the signal oscillated erratically. Focus on decoding it. They could still be in danger. The droning noise intensified as Rhea adjusted the frequencies. After moments of silence, the man's voice broke through, albeit distorted. Hull collapsing. People missing. Ship. Ship? What ship? Elena leaned closer, desperate for any clues. Don't fall in. Vorath. Trapped. Dark. Run. The signal sputtered before fading to static once more, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. We have to go back, Elena said resolutely. They're depending on us. Akira shot her a concerned look. Captain, we cannot risk it. Vorath can still shift unexpectedly, and the colony might already be lost. More than likely they're still out there. Elena felt her heart racing. I won't abandon them. Plot a course back to the colony. After a moment of hesitation, Akira nodded. Fine. But if we encounter danger again, we pull out immediately. Chapter 6. Drowning in Shadows. The Starfire turned back toward the lingering shadow of Vorath, and as they approached the outer edges of the gravitational pull, Elena felt a shiver dance down her spine. A sudden chill flowed over the bridge, and the atmosphere thickened with tension. Energy fluctuations on the radar. Rhea cried out, her eyes wide with alarm. Something's not right. The ship trembled as they neared the colony's coordinates. Elena clenched her fists, torn between fear and responsibility. Activate stealth mode. Akira's fingers danced across controls, and with a flicker, the ship's panels dimmed. They seemed to blend into the ink of space, hiding from any potential threats. Ready on all fronts, Elena cautioned, scanning the viewscreen for any signs of life. The once vibrant colony glimmered ahead, but now it lay shrouded in mystery. The buildings appeared damaged, with strange distortions surrounding them, an unsettling sight. And amid the rubble, the growing pulse of energy signatures flickered like distant fireflies. Is that a ship? Rhea murmured, pointing toward the colony's hangar. I can't be certain, Akira replied, but it looks like part of their fleet. What on earth happened here? Elena narrowed her eyes and activated the communication systems. This is Captain Elena Sorrento of the Starfire. Colony, do you read me? Static filled the air, followed by unnerving silence, a poignant reminder of isolation and danger. There was no response. Get visual feeds from the ground. Elena ordered, her heart racing. They scanned the terrain below, and as video footage began to relay on their screens, gasps filled the bridge. Chapter 7. Through the Shadows. The footage depicted twisted structures and flickering energies, yet within the chaos emerged shadows, ghostly figures flitting through the wreckage. They didn't appear human, their elongated forms coiling and writhing as if made from fragmented darkness. Are those life forms? Rhea whispered, her face pale. Elena's thoughts raced. They must be residual energy signatures from the gravitational anomalies. We need to get in and help. Akira looked grim. If those creatures are present, then we need to consider the possibility that Vorath isn't done with us. They prepared for landing, electricity crackling within the atmosphere as they navigated through debris toward the colony's hangar bay. The ominous presence loomed closer, shadows gathering in the corners of their vision. "Captain?" Ria's voice trembled, breaking the tension. "I don't think this is safe." "Safety is a risk we must take," Elena replied firmly, determined to see it through. "Hurry. We can't waste time." Chapter 8. Heart of Darkness. As the Starfire adjusted its parameters and docked within the derelict hangar, Elena gathered her gear, adrenaline pumping in her veins. "Team, we go in pairs. Akira, you're with me. Ria, keep the ship secure, and monitor any incoming readings." "Aye, Captain," Ria responded, her nervousness evident. With a determined nod, Elena and Akira stepped into the darkness of the colony's hangar. The air smelled stale, echoing with a silence that bore the weight of lost souls. "Stay close," Akira warned, his voice low and steady. "We don't want to wander off." Elena took the lead, her senses on high alert. They navigated through the remains of machinery and shattered glass, heading deeper into the heart of the colony. Dim emergency lights flickered overhead, creating a surreal atmosphere. Suddenly, the ground trembled beneath them, the pulsations resonating from Vorath's influence. Shadows danced along the walls, growing more erratic as figures edged closer, and Elena felt another wave of unease wash over her. "What was that?" Akira asked, eyeing the tremors with concern. "I don't know," she replied, feeling the sweat beading on her brow. "Just keep moving." They pressed on, emerging into the central chamber. Surrounding them were remnants of technology, and in the middle, a central console pulsing with an unsettling glow. A dark mist hovered above, and a figure emerged from the mass, an unsettling blending of energy and shadow. "What are you?" Akira whispered, utterly captivated and terrified. "I am the guardian of Vorath," the figure spoke, its voice echoing like an endless chasm. "You should not have come here." Elena steeled herself, heart pounding. "We're here to help the lost colonists. They need us." They were drawn in by temptation, the guardian intoned. They sought to wield power without comprehension. Now they are trapped within the folds of Vorath, belonging to the darkness. "No!" Elena shouted, determination igniting within her. "We can save them." "Your defiance is futile," the guardian intoned as shadows gathered menacingly. "Only through sacrifice can one regain what was lost." Chapter 9. The Turning Tide. Elena felt the shadows closing in, an impending doom, weighing heavy in the air. "We're not afraid of you." "Fear is irrelevant," the guardian responded, as the shadows coiled around the chamber like suffocating vines. "This is the end." With a burst of instinct, Elena activated her wrist communicator, directing an emergency beacon back to the Starfire. "Ria, we need backup. Now!" Static filled the air as they wrestled to defend themselves from the encroaching darkness. Akira pulled out a weapon, discharging pulses of light toward the shadowy figure, but it absorbed the energy effortlessly, its aura expanding ominously. "This isn't working," Akira yelled, frustration lacing his voice. Then a voice roared through their communicator. "Hold tight. I'm coming for you." Chapter 10. The Last Stand. The air vibrated with energy, and moments later, Ria burst into the chamber, wielding a weapon charged with resonant pulses. "Get back," she commanded, unleashing a volley of shots toward the Guardian. Elena knew this was their last chance. "Focus on the central console," she shouted over the din. "Ria, charge it with all the energy from the Starfire. It's our only shot." As Akira and Elena engaged the Guardian, Ria rushed to comply, gathering the energy emissions resonating from her weapon. She sent wave after wave into the console, amplifying it further with each shot. With a final clash, the Guardian swooped closer. "You cannot escape the darkness," it howled, eyes burning with rage. But Elena and Akira combined their energies into the console, igniting the accumulated power. "Time to end this," Akira yelled, pushing the energy over the threshold. The console flared to life, shining brightly against the shadows as bursts of light exploded outward. The Guardian shrieked, wavering against the power. The shadows receded, exchanging darkness for brilliance. Elena felt the tide shifting. "Picture the lost colonists. Focus on their safety," she shouted. Shields strained as they pushed the energy further, the console pulsating, tearing through the shadows. Light enveloped the chamber, washing away the darkness as the Guardian's hold began to dissolve. "No!" it screeched, its form dissolving into glimmers as they reclaimed the heart of the room. Chapter 11. A Glimmer of Hope. The energy pulsed bright one final time before fading into nothingness, leaving them panting in the dimly lit chamber. "Did we?" Rhea murmured, disbelief etched on her face. Elena turned slowly, the remnants of the darkness falling away, revealing spaces where the colonists could quietly regain their footing. "I think we did. We freed them." One by one, the lost colonists stepped forward, disoriented yet alive. Among them stood the older man, the same from the distress call. He looked astounded, filled with gratitude. "You returned for us," he exclaimed, eyes reflecting relief as he gazed upon them. "Truly, thank you. How long have you been trapped?" Akira asked, concern lacing his words. "It felt like an eternity," he said, clutching his chest. "Vorath had ensnared us, but your resolve is a testament that not all is lost." Elena breathed a sigh of relief, tears forming in her eyes as she realized they indeed had saved them. "We need to get everyone on the Starfire. We're not out of danger yet." As the group rushed back toward the hangar, the haunting remnants of Vorath flickered behind them, yet the light of hope guided their path. Elena felt buoyed by the lifeline of the colonists' reluctance to leave. The darkness refused to dominate. Chapter 12. Escape from Darkness. Back aboard the Starfire, Rhea navigated rapidly through holographic screens to initiate immediate takeoff procedures. "Get everyone secured. Quickly!" Elena yelled, urgency coursing through her veins. One by one, each lost colonist filed into the ship, filling the otherwise empty bays with a forgotten energy and drive for survival. "Captain, engines heating up," Rhea shouted. "We need to lift off before the gravitational pull shifts again. Prepare for takeoff." Akira responded, securing himself in his seat while lighting up the control panels, recalibrating the ship's systems for launch. The Starfire shook as it began to ascend, resisting the gravitational pull of Vorath. Elena clenched her teeth, holding on as shadows loomed from behind them. "We're almost there," Akira encouraged. As the ship lifted higher, for a moment, darkness crept at the edges of their vision, threatening to reclaim them. But with the combined strength of the colonists, Elena summoned an energy she never knew she possessed. "Engage warp drive," she commanded. The Starfire surged forward, blasting into the shimmer of starlight as the gravitational grip of Vorath faded into the distance. Elena felt a rush of adrenaline, buoyed by the light of 1,000 stars glowing beyond. Chapter 13. Beyond the Abyss. With the dark shadows dissipating behind them, Rhea collapsed back into her chair, breathless, while the remaining colonists looked at each other in disbelief. "Captain," Rhea gasped, "we need to plot a course in case Vorath changes its trajectory." "Already doing so," Akira replied, his voice steadier now. "It's a long road ahead, but we're safe." They cheered, the energy within the ship palpable, as laughter broke the heaviness that lingered from the shadows. Sitting back in her captain's chair, Elena relished the moment. Lost souls reclaimed, adventure forged against impossible odds. "Let's get to safety, then we'll assess the damage," she said softly. As the Starfire sailed towards the unfamiliar horizon, Elena captured the fleeting moment of hope. Their escape from the abyss had granted them more than just survival. It had rekindled bravery. The stars twinkled ahead, glistening with a promise of new beginnings in the expanse of the cosmos, a tale of resilience written across the dark tapestry of space. The end.